Hello, it's me. I don't know, how do we usually start these? I can't remember. Welcome back to Off Script with Sohla. Welcome back to another Off Script with Sohla. Hello, it's Sohla el-Waylly here, and today we're gonna go off script with me, Sohla. We're gonna make soup.
Hello, Sohla here.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, hello, Sohla here, and today on Off Script with me, I'm gonna show you how to make chicken soup. We've done a lot of chicken. We made chicken and rice, we made chicken wings, showed you how to braise chicken, make chicken meatballs. It's time for soup. This is my method for making a really simple soup for when you really need chicken soup. So we're not gonna be doing a lot of chopping, we're not gonna be doing a lot of sweating veggies. It's gonna be really simple. It's all just like simmered together, but I'm gonna show you how to take a simple simmered chicken soup and like make it delicious. So if this sounds fun to you, be sure to like and subscribe for more Food 52 videos. Okay, all right, let's get souping. Oh, we missed an opportunity to do a lot of soup puns. I'm gonna show you how to make a super soup and then make it your own. Yeah, cool, let's do it. Let's go off script. I'm gonna start by making a really simple chicken broth. You can make your broth as complicated as you want. I've done ones where I roast my chicken first to get like a really nice dark golden color, but I'm gonna go with just straight up putting everything in the pot and simmering it, because this is the soup you make when you don't feel like doing anything. You know what I mean? We're gonna keep it really simple. So I've got 2 chicken legs in there, so 2 thighs, 2 drums. Now, this is gonna simmer for like an hour and a half, so we don't need to be too precious with the way we cut anything. I'm just gonna go for big hunks on the celery. You don't have to peel it, you don't have to do anything. This is a simple, easy soup. We just want to throw it all in there. This is the soup that I actually make when I'm sick. If I want to impress someone, yeah, then I'll roast some bones, roast some vegetables. But I promise this is gonna be like maximum flavor for the least amount of effort. So carrot, celery, a little bay leaf, some smashed garlic cloves. This is gonna be for my sweet potato and cabbage soup. I'm not even peeling the garlic, just lightly smashing it. We're gonna strain this all out so you can keep it super simple. Now, the onion, it's up to you if you wanna peel it or not. Leaving the skin on is gonna add a little bit of golden color, but sometimes if my onion just looks really dirty, you know, when you get them from the market, and they just still have a little bit of like fertilizer clinging to it, then I'll peel it, but you know, you decide. How sick are you? How tired are you? That's how much work's gonna go in here. And a teaspoon of peppercorn, a teaspoon of salt, and I'm gonna cover this with 6 cups of water. And we want this to gently simmer, covered, for about an hour and a half. Now, for my other soup, it's pretty much the same, but instead of the carrot and celery, we're gonna add ginger instead, because it kind of goes with that red lentil spiced vibe. For the ginger, it's the same thing. You don't have to peel it. You just want to open it up to get more out of it. So like maybe cut it in half lengthwise and then smash it like your garlic. And it kind of splits open, kind of cracks for you, and then you can extract more of that flavor. But you don't really need to like, this isn't the time or place to like get really fussy. But if you want to level this up from like the really basic broth we're doing here, instead of simmering all this in water, I'll simmer it in a store-bought broth so you can get like double broth, extra chickeniness, you know? You know what I'm saying?
Is there a difference between broth and stock?
Okay, so there used to be a difference between broth and stock, originally, back in the day. Those words used to mean something. Stock would mean that it was made from just the bones, and broth means that there's meat attached to the bones, so technically this is a broth. But nowadays, everyone calls everything, everything. So, who cares? You know what I mean? So we got some bubblage, and we have some scum at the top. I've seen a lot of people who like to skim their soup throughout, but I find that if I do a good job at the beginning, I can just touch it up at the end, and in the middle I can leave it alone. Because you're sick. You don't want to stand here and skim all day. I find it easiest to use a ladle, and I like to skim into a container with water so that the ladle gets rinsed off every time, so you're not putting that scum right back in there. So we're just going to get in here, and you just bloop, just a little bit at a time, just like that. And the other thing that can really help is if you move your pot kind of off center, what happens is all of the scum kind of goes to one side. So that kind of makes it a little bit easier. Instead of having to skim the whole surface, you're just skimming one side. So just take your time in the beginning and try and get all this gunk off the best you can, you know? It's just gonna make it like nice and clean and clear. But if you can't get yourself to do this, it's fine. Just don't. It'll be okay. You know? It's a nice little detail if you've got the energy to, but you know, if you're sick, I don't have much energy at all. I don't know about you. I don't mind if there's a little bit of chicken fat. I just really care about the scum, but you can also take your time and get all that fat off too. If you really want to get every single bit of everything off here, the best thing to do is make your broth the night before, strain it, chill it completely, and then the fat just rises to the top and you can pop it off like a little puck. Because the pork is going to take like 4 hours to cook, I made one already. Boom. Because this chilled overnight, all of the fat has congealed on the top instead of being in the stew, so we can go in there and just pop it off. Just scoop it right off the surface. You can try and skim your braise while it's hot with a little spoon or ladle, but you're never going to get as much of the fat off and as easily as if you chill it. Whoa, look at that. That's a lot. A lot of fat. My bowl of fat. I'm just holding a bowl of fat. And perfectly clear, lean broth. Okay, so now I'm going to cover this, and we're going to let this simmer. And then soup. We're so close to soup. We're halfway there. My broth, it's simmered. We strained it throughout the aromatics, and we're letting the chicken cool down so it's cool enough to handle for me to pick, and now we're going to make soup. I mean, you could just stop here and have this, and you're going to feel great. But we're going to add some stuff to make it a little fun. So normally when I make soup, I like to sweat all the vegetables or aromatics I'm going to add to it in a little bit of oil. That just helps bring out the fat-soluble flavors. But you're making this when you're sick, and I just like, when I'm sick and tired, I'm not going to take the time to sweat aromatics or anything like that. So this is going to be all in the pot at the same time. So this is our ginger broth. This is actually my favorite soup that I legitimately make when I'm feeling sick. It's really simple. We're just going to add some potato and red lentil, and it's just going to make it feel really like comforting. And I don't know, this combo I really like because it's what my mom would make. This is the soup she would make when we were feeling sick. She'd even sometimes put a little bit of rice in there so it would get like a porridge, congee kind of vibe. But I really like just a little bit of potato. Whatever potato you've got. If you can't get yourself to peel it, don't. It'll be fine. And some red lentils. Now, red lentils are one of my favorite kinds of lentils because they cook really, really fast. Because they're split, they're so small. But you can also use whatever lentil you have. Something about this combo, though, the red lentil, potato, and ginger, is super, super, super comforting to me. And we're just going to let this gently simmer for about 20 minutes until the potato and lentils are tender. The great thing about the red lentils is that it will be simmered at the same time as the potato. If you're using maybe like a beluga lentil, something a little fancier like that, those take a little bit longer to cook, so you should give those a head start before you add your potatoes, or the potatoes are going to fall apart. That's it. We're not sweating. We're not doing anything. We're just going to let this simmer and get tender, and it's going to become soup. Okay, so for my other soup, this one, I wanted to have like a little bit of like a southwestern vibe. I also happen to have some cabbage left over in the fridge when I first developed this. So we're going to add some shredded cabbage. And what's really nice with the cabbage in the soup is it kind of like melts and makes it feel really like silky and luxurious. Kind of like, remember when we did the beans, greens, pasta dish? I don't think people eat enough collards. I don't know why kale is the rage, you know? I'm a big fan of collard salads, just like a kale salad. Give it a shot. I think it's going to be 2021 is going to be all about collards. I can feel it. We're getting over kale, you know? I know. Clementine loves it. Something really nice happens to greens when you give them time to like really sweat. They get really creamy and soft. Oh, that was also the episode where I had cut myself. This is how I cut my thumb. I was cutting kale like this, and I wasn't paying attention, and you know, I was like drinking some wine, listening to a podcast, totally zoning out, and I just went for it right down through the thumbnail, almost to the bone. I have no first aid kit. I was on my last Band-Aid, and Clementine was just trying to like lick up all the blood off the floor, which was like freaking me out. I have a problem with blood too, so I immediately passed out. It's really dramatic. Your faces. I wish people could see that. That's why nowadays things are cut for me. It's just safer for everyone this way. So a little bit of sweet potato, a little bit of cabbage. We're gonna let this simmer until it gets nice and tender, and a little bit of chipotle for some heat. I love having chipotles always in the pantry. I know a lot of people think they're like overused, but it adds heat and smoke, and it's something that you can just always have on hand for days like this when you're feeling sick and you don't want to like, work too hard. I added a little bit of salt at the beginning when we simmered the broth, but now I'm going to go back and taste and make sure it's really nicely seasoned before our potatoes and veggies cook through so they can, absorb all that flavor. If we wait until they're cooked to season it, it's only going to taste like bland potatoes floating around in something that tastes good, and we want the potatoes and the veggies themselves to taste good. So, but I'm going to see where we're at. I'm going to hit this. Bump it up a little salt, a little pepper. Now, seasoning soup, actually, I think is like the best way to learn how to season because it's just water. It could potentially be like so bland. So it's really up to the seasoning to pull the flavors forward. So like really take your time and think about it. I think that you can't really tell if your soup is there from just one taste. So I think it's important to like taste it. We're going to taste it now. We're going to taste it after the potatoes are cooked, and we're going to taste it before we like plate it up. It's pretty incredible how that was just water and 2 legs, and we got a lot of flavor. That's also why I chose dark meat. Dark meat has more connective tissue. It's going to give you a lot more flavor than if you went with the breast. Same thing like when we were making the broth. I want really, really delicate, gentle bubblage. We don't want a rapid boil here because then your potatoes are just going to fall apart. But maybe you want porridge and mush. If that's what you want, that's cool. But I want the pieces to still be intact. So we're going to go gentle, let it do its thing, about 20 minutes, and I'm going to pick my chicken in the meantime. And then it's going to be soup. While that stuff does its thing, we're going to pick our chicken. I'm going to pull off the skin. Okay, so if you're feeling a little extra, one thing you can do that's really nice is save the skin and crisp it up in a nonstick skillet, and it's going to get really nice and crunchy, and you can use that as a topping. But don't feel any shame if you're not up to it, and you just need to throw it out. All right, so pick this off. What I like to do when we get into this season where everyone's getting colds or whatever, I just like to make big batches of soup like this and have it in the freezer because I don't want to cook anything when I'm sick. My stove just got fixed. I've had 1 week with a working oven. 1 week out of, I've lived there now for a year. Remember that time the oven stopped working when the souffle was in it? That's why we shoot these here now. This souffle did not reach maximum poof because my oven turned off in the middle of baking. But we don't have a backyard for me to like spin a salad or make tiny quesadillas. The day we wanted to shoot trash, they picked up the trash early and there was no trash. We had to go hunt for trash.
And you pushed me. You remember that?
That was fun. That was actually fun, yeah. I remember that. That was an aggressive shove. It wasn't like a TV shove. I really went for it. I think pound cake was the worst shoot ever because it took a very long time. Because that was still COVID. There was no one who could help me. I was alone, setting up the light and the camera, and I had to make so many pound cakes. Okay, if people take one thing away from this show, I hope that it's that you need to scrape your paddle. I think it's the #1 mistake people make with pastry. The mixer's doing all the work. Just scrape your paddle. That's all I want. I hope that over 16 episodes, you take that away from it. That's the only thing that matters to me. Oh, and what am I doing? I'm scraping the paddle, baby. You gotta scrape. My potatoes, my veggies, they're really nice and tender. You can take a look and see, whoa, they're like falling apart, but they're still kind of together. That's how I like it. You can tell, just like, see if you can easily smush it up against the wall of the pot, and now you know you're good. In here, same situation. The cabbage got really good and tender, and check out the potato. Whoa, it's just like, it's gonna be so good when you eat it. So nice and tender. Now, time for another seasoning check. It tasted pretty good before we cooked it, but the potatoes are gonna suck up a lot of flavor, so let's see how we're at. Just a pinch of salt, a little bit of pepper. Now I'm gonna add a couple finishing touches. For this one, I'm gonna bloom some spices in oil for a little finishing, like, flair. Since we didn't sweat our veggies, we need to like add our flavor now. So depending on where you're from, this technique has different names. Where I come from, we call it bagar. But, you know, pretty much we're just blooming some spices in oil to bring the flavor out. So we're not adding raw spices into the soup. And then I've got some mustard seeds, cumin seeds, and turmeric, and we're just gonna cook it until the seeds pop and sizzle, and that's how you know they're gonna have really nice flavor. The mustard seeds are like your thermometer. They're gonna tell you when it's ready, because they pop and hiss at you. And this is how we're gonna make sure we get the maximum flavor out of these spices. If you just add spices to a liquid like this, they don't like it. Spices need either direct heat, dry direct heat, or direct heat in oil to really bring all their flavors out. When I'm feeling really lazy, my favorite vegetable side is take anything green, you know, like bok choy, broccoli, broccolini, steam it in the steamer until it's crisp tender, and then finish it with these sizzled spices in oil. You don't have to stay in South Asia. You can go all over the world. I've done it with everything seasoning. Sizzle some everything seasoning in oil and pour it over some steamed broccoli. It's really delicious, and it's very quick, very easy. It's very aromatic. The cumin's a shade darker. I can see everybody's dancing, so we're gonna add it to our soup. You always want to do this like last minute, right before you're done, because once you add this, you should turn it off so you can get like the maximum out of those spices. You don't want to continue simmering this. The flavor kind of gets dull. My dad is just a little, he lives on the wild side, so he doesn't even use a pan when he does this. He takes a really big spoon and puts the oil and spices and just does it over a direct flame. I don't think anyone should do that. It's not safe. Okay. For our sweet potato cabbage soup, I'm gonna taste it and see if we need to add any more heat. Let's get in there. Well, no, that's spicy enough. Yeah, nice heat. Now, to finish it off, a little bit of parsley, a little bit more salt. If something ever like kicks you in the throat and feels a little bit too spicy, oftentimes salt is the answer to help balance it, and a little bit of lime juice. You can use really any like soft herb you have kicking around. You could do cilantro, dill. You just want something that just gives you a little bit of freshness. And then I'm gonna taste this again, make sure we're good. And then we're gonna move on to the garnishes. Normally when I test stuff, I try and give it away, but I actually kept all of these. So I had 12 pints of soup in my freezer. Oh! And every single pint got eaten.
I think the most excited you ever got about something that was the mochi cakes.
Those were good. The mochi cakes were good. Isn't that pretty? Oh my God. I think this is the tastiest thing that I've ever made, guys. Oh, so deeply browned. Oh, this is a good one. That's the recipe of mine that I've done the most. Do you know what I mean? Like, I make that recipe like a lot. Last minute guests, just throw that together. I'm getting distracted. Crazy. As soon as I added the salt and lime, it tastes a lot less spicy. I don't know why that happens, but it's really cool. If something's too spicy, you can balance it out. You can fix it. Okay. Soup. We're done. We're going to bowl it up.
Are you going to put the chicken in to warm it?
I forgot about the chicken. Pick chicken going in. Was that the stove?
Yeah.
Talking to me?
Kelly wanted to warm, I think.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Okay, chicken's going in. Chicken is totally cooked, and the soup is really hot, so you don't need to do a thing. But if you like it super, super tender, you can let it keep simmering. But I like it when it's like chunky and meaty and I can like have a bite of chicken. But you know, this is your soup, so do whatever feels right to you. Now, we're gonna bowl it up. It's a tale of two soups. Now, I think is the most fun part. We're gonna have some tasty garnishes to like, you know, jazz things up a little bit. So for our cabbage and sweet potato soup, I think the toppings really add a little bit of freshness, some texture. So here I've got a little dollop of sour cream. Whoa. A little avocado. I really like avocado in soup. I think it's nice how it adds some richness. I like my soup to be hot and my toppings to be cold, so I usually will sit down with the toppings next to me and on a little bit at a time. But you know, you do you. Okay, a little bit of thinly sliced shaved white onion. I love garnishing stuff with white onion. It's really crisp and it's not as like hot as a yellow onion. And now this is the ultimate topping for like everything. We always have Fritos around just for putting on top of soup or salads or braises. A little bit of crunch, a little bit of corn. Whoa, here we go. Not sponsored by Fritos, but I really do love them very much. Now look at how fun that soup looks, and it was so simple. We pretty much just simmered things in a pot, but like you jazz it up a little at the end and it's very exciting. Now for my lentil and potato soup. We got a really nice yellow color from that turmeric. I really like how some of the potatoes kind of added a little bit of body to this soup. Okay, a little dollop of yogurt. I like a little creamy with my soup, as you can tell. We got double dairy going on. Now, some thinly sliced green chili. I think that it's just so important to this. It really brightens everything up, adds a little kick. And I think that between the green chili and the ginger, if you're stuffy, you won't be. Have a few bites of that chili and you're gonna be good. And some cilantro. Nice and fresh. Really perk it up because this soup, especially because of the potato and the lentil, it's a little bit starchy and it has a bit more body. So adding the cilantro and chili and yogurt really brightens everything up. But there you go, two soups, but really infinite soups, because don't go out and buy these specific things. You know, this is just about the method and the inspiration, and you probably have things in your pantry all ready to make soup. So just like go forth and soup. This method is super simple. We just boiled a bunch of stuff, but look at how different the soups turned out. Not just like in the color, but even in the body of the broth because of what we put in there. So I think that you can really have fun here. I'm gonna get a little chicken, a little avocado, a little sweet potato, and we must have some Frito. Oh, sour cream, I forgot you were down there. Okay. I love this one because it reminds me of the tortilla soup from El Torito Grill. A little bit of heat, but everything's like mellowed out because of the richness that we get from the avocado, the starchy sweet potato. It's a very fun soup, and I love the garnishes. I think that's really key. Okay, this is my favorite. I could eat this soup every day. It's so simple, but I find it like so comforting. I'm gonna get a little chili. Okay, a lot of chili. Maybe that's too much chili, but it's cool. This is my chicken noodle soup. You know, I think for a lot of people, they think of soup and you think of that classic egg noodles, carrot, celery, but for me, this is it. I love the little prickly green chili. I love the little mellow hit of ginger that's happening, and the potatoes and stuff are just like so comforting, and I don't know, I could eat this every day. For me, that's perfect, but this is your soup. So just think about seasoning, make a nice delicate broth, skim it, take the time to skim it, and then add whatever you want in there and finish it with some fun toppings. And then you can make whatever kind of soup feels right to you. I think it's really low effort. It's the perfect thing to make when you're feeling sick and you don't want to do anything. You just gotta boil some stuff and you got soup. So yeah, oh right, and this is the last off script. We've had 16 episodes. I hope you had a lot of fun and you learned a lot of tricks and tips along the way. It's not a goodbye, it's a see you later. I need to take a pause. You know, we're gonna pause and finish my book, and then we'll come back with something new and fun. But I hope you guys had fun with this. We had a lot of fun making it. My book will come out spring 2023, as long as I'm not delayed anymore. In the meantime, you can see me on Instagram, and you know, I'll be around. We'll be back. It's just a little break.